All right, here we go again. While I was offline, they got her name to me, Susie Wiles or something like that. So Susie has to come up with a list that you routinely update, and it defines the issues as important or not important, and how you're going to respond to it. Develop like three general modes of response, right, or four general modes of response, and what tone to take. Well, again, if people feel, again, don't go with the party faithful. That's where you're going wrong, right? Because you didn't win with hardcore Republicans or hardcore conservatives. Right? So what you want to look at is the idea, like everybody attacked the bishop, right? And even that, that gets to be a bit much, because if you're on X, it's just all, it's all this propaganda, really. I mean, that's really what it is. Right? So if you overdo it, people just kind of get turned off by it. So again, disrespecting the bishop was probably not what you wanted to do. I mean, the clown show's on, class clowns. So what you wanted to do is you wanted to agree to disagree, right? And you wanted to explain how important it is that you do what you do, because there is something that needs to be fixed. And again, we hope that nobody's afraid. We're not interested in people being afraid. We understand they're afraid, but there's things we need to do to fix what's broken. Because in some circles, including some supporter circles, there are people that have sympathy for. I tried to read it. I didn't pick up a lot of sympathy, but again, there is some sympathy there, right? And again, over time, that could grow. So again, also the idea of how there's another category. How likely is this to shift over time? Could it be spun? Because that's another trap that you always fall into. You all fall into. Well, because you respond to something, then Trump will respond sometimes. You respond to something maybe a little bit too fast, and again, sometimes you want to respond fast because it makes you look like you're on top of things, right? But you respond to something and you respond to it a little too aggressively, and then they're able to spin the issue, or they could even spin it even if you didn't do it. They wait for you to respond, and then they spin the issue. That's why even when Trump was in the first time, I think, don't worry about it so much. Let us out here handle it. Let us respond. Right. And again, you got a lot of class clowns. Right. And I think that's where Elon kind of was. He's too far out there. He needs to pull back. But again, maybe he's just being revealed. Maybe he is this Nazi apartheid dude that Bannon says he is. Right. Yeah, Nazism was part of apartheid. I don't know if you all know that. They were Nazis, a lot of them. I think some of the Nazis settled in South Africa. Well, I'm trying to tell you, they'll shake your hand, Netanyahu will shake your hand, the chief of Mossad will shake your hand, the chief of Shin Bet will shake your hand while they're killing you and smile at you and ha 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 ha. Right. Again, there's a bigger machine than your machine, Elon. There's a bigger machine than, well, because, let me explain this, and he should know. You run those operations, those psychological operations. Let me put it out there. I know Elon's running psychological operations, with Spice and all that stuff. You're not on the receiving end of that much. Right. You could, right at this point, you could be on the receiving end of it. You don't have a machine to block the nation states. The CIA is like deep state, man. A bunch of putzes. They're not going to outdo Mossad. They're not going to outdo Shin Bet when they really want to get you. And then you also have Europe. There are spy agencies going to pick up. Because that's where you put yourself. You're no longer just Elon Musk, the bungling idiot boss that, it's Elon. It's no longer that. You put yourself out there as nation state. Great. So now your protection is insufficient, and you don't have the machine. You can't build the machine, and the U.S. doesn't have the machine. I mean, look at these people. The CIA people take money to chase after me. I mean, Putin laughs. Putin won. I lost. God lost because we have corrupt people in government. Otherwise, I'd have been fine. Like the system we had in 1980s, I'd have been fine. A little bit more honest people in government. Right. I've been because they wouldn't be allowed to do what they did to me. But again, they just pay some money and they'll move out of the way. That's the way it works. It's a shadow remuneration system. They say get Elon or let us get Elon. They step away and they get it the stocks go up. They get a big car, big house. That's how it works. You put yourself. So now you're in that nation state system. You don't got to worry about the rich Jews. You got to worry about the nation states. Europe's already signaled they're going to move the nation state system. Well, they deem his threat an increased threat. They already signaled it, I think, yesterday or the day before. Maybe I'd have to look. I may even signaled it before the Zig Heil, but the Zig Heil sealed it. So now you're in a different world. Like you had this big, I'm big, I got big security, I'm big Elon. But now you're not, you're little Elon. And CIA itself says we can only protect Elon so much. We can't spend our time running after spy organizations all day because they're going after Elon. They just sent a blip. So even if they wanted to, even if they were ordered to do it, they can't. They don't have enough. They have too much work. And that person's probably a competent CIA person. But they know the corruption exists. The competence exists. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. No, I think definitely yesterday, but I think there may have been some hits before. Europe hinted that they would take him on as a nation state. So he's no longer a citizen Elon. He's a threat to what they believe the national security of their nations. Again, Elon's not looking to free the people of Europe and he's not a humanist. Okay? And he's just a humanist as the Nazis he worships. He's looking at owning the system from one bondage to the next. In fact, I brought up before, there's an indicator that the actual overage of immigration is a psychological operation by people that want to take over those countries by creating the issue. Again, the Soviets did that all the time. Right. No, I honestly do not want to come against Putin at this stage of the game because for the people, and I haven't for years, really. Right. I just asked him to repent. I said we should embrace him. I did bring up all those things during the first. I told Trump, don't be afraid to talk to Putin and the Russians. Talk to him. Right. And he just never got to it. I don't know if they got the message on social media or somebody blocked it. Right. Thank you. But again, it's only going to go as far as it's going. I think, honestly, from what I feel, I think we all can get along to get along. I think that's where Putin wants to go. And it's not to say that the Ukrainian people and the Russian people can't bury the axe, and bury the sword and just say we'll do the best we can to coexist, and maybe again the same thing we did when we brought the wall down and all that. We started doing even military exercises together. I mean, that's where we lost it, when we stopped doing that. Thank you, Larry. Well, at a certain point, I started noticing things about Putin, changes in Putin that you caused in me from spycraft. And I know he's a billionaire, a trillionaire, and all that, and it's probably easier for him. But I believe he was psychologically modified to be aggressive by other spies. Because you can't fight, just because Putin is a spy master doesn't mean he fights all of the spycraft that comes against him. You can't. I explained that to you because you're experiencing, and that spycraft changes you. It's impossible to fight every spycraft movement and not change. And the Soviets probably know that. So again, he's done a lot of wrong things, and there's other people that work for him that's done wrong things. So again, because Putin's KGB, he's not going to tell us anything. So we don't know where somebody did the wrong thing, something that he didn't want to happen. We don't know where the Ukrainians got in and did something to make it look like it was him or some other spy agency, because he's not going to tell us anything. I was waiting for him to say something, but he never said anything. But what he said now, could be truth, could be a lie, but I hope he follows through. I hope he genuinely follows through, and we all begin to understand, to get back to where we were in the 90s, really. And when that wall came down, it was perfect time. And it was perfect. The United States and Russians doing military training again was phenomenal. And again, they did, I think, that we started stuff in space and all that, which is really strange because we still do stuff in space together. So again, the psychology doesn't make any sense. So again, we can end all the things that we want to end, and I think it needs to. And I think Mossad and Shin Bet need them. The Palestinians and all them. They keep you busy, but I think we can put together a program where we can get them to watch themselves a little bit better. Again, I do not agree. I don't think Hamas should exist. I don't know what to do about each individual. I don't know how we should do that. I believe Mossad will kill Hamas until they're all gone. Thank you, Larry. Thank you. So again, there's what did we do at the end of the Civil War? I think they turned in their weapons or something. I have to study history and see what we did in some of these situations. Well, because they still ran communities. They still had, I think they still had rights to govern. And again, the Palestinian, I was so let down when Hamas took the Gaza. It destroyed everything. But again, I think Israel had a little more obligation to support Fatah so they could be powerful enough to fight that. That's what I was hoping that we could get moving. I just think Hamas lost the right to rule. I understand the mechanisms of everything that happened in Israel. The social, the psychological, the physical, the metaphysical. And there are mitigating circumstances. Not saying something is just, to say there's mitigating circumstance doesn't say the mitigating circumstance justify what was done. I'm not saying that. But even though there's mitigating circumstances, I think Hamas they already needed to go by the wayside before that happened. Now, each person, like I said, it looks like there's a lot of young people just looking at the photos, which means there's newer recruits. Right. And again, you're bombing everybody's house. There's going to be new recruits. That was my point. All right. I'm thinking through it now. See, this is how I do my stuff. I'm not online. I used to not be online. I just walk around my apartment doing this. Sometimes online, but not usually. Right. I talk all day. I think out loud. Right. Then again, Hashem is here. If Hashem said you could hear me all the time, it'd be a lot easier. Right. Hashem's my father. I have no real kin on this planet. I mean, that I know. I mean, there's probably somebody that's asleep somewhere, or somebody that I can't get to their life. They can't get to my life. Might be my part of my heavenly family. Okay, lunch. So each is an individual. I don't know what each has done. I think they need to turn their weapons in. I mean, the chances of that may not be well. Again, my thing to the my statement to the Hamas is they're going to kill you. You're going to be killed somewhere in the future. We'll go through the ceasefire. We'll go through everything. We'll go through the motions. But if you still exist, you know what happened in Lebanon is possible in Gaza. I'm trying to be truthful. I'm a very honest person, and I don't want you to be killed because I think you have a future. I think this is the point. I think if Hamas says, you know, we'll disband for the sake of the Palestinian people, for the sake of peace, I think they can let you live. And that's why I'm going to, like, I think we did something like that in some of the other wars. We did that in, I think, the Civil War. They gave in their weapons and they disbanded, but they still, you know, some of them still had autonomy. And I'm not, you know, some were still on, you know, slave mind, but, you know, I think we eventually worked most of that out. Right, that might be a further negotiation that can be brought in. I just think it just can't, they can't exist. And again, I also bring up the idea that getting rid of Hamas doesn't mean you get rid of terrorism. Right. That's one of the things that's just so stupid. It's a political kind of thing. People like ride on the coattails. Well, we got rid of, you know, this organization, but then the same people are in another organization with another name, right, or at least a portion of them. Right. So it looks like they recruited a lot. I mean, you saw large numbers, but I think some of them are new people, right? Or the younger people that aren't normally the people you see. Well, again, the idea is they're going to kill you. They know where you are now. Well, that was my point from the beginning. Just make them come out. Have them come out. You made them go into hiding. There's nothing you can do now. So you came out. They know where you are. You're marked. You're all marked. Majority. I mean, maybe a few of you can get away, but you're not going to get away. So I think you should just find a way to negotiate something. So in other words, for you to leave the scene, for you to turn your weapons in, what does it take? And again, we need to create a Palestinian Authority that is powerful and is capable of governing the Gaza. You know, I never met Mr. Abbas, but boy, we've been through a lot together. Because we are honestly seeking peace. And I know Mr. Abbas gets mad, and I get mad at Mr. Abbas for being mad. And he says things that probably isn't conducive to what we're trying to do. Right. We know the dangers of not seeking peace now. We know October 7th. We know the bombing in the Gaza. I don't think either one is worse than the other because that's not something that we need to take away from that. No, I'm an empath. God blocks I've told you before, God blocks my emotions. I'm the Jew that falls to the ground and rips his clothes. I almost did it in a mall and got in trouble. I was feeling a person's pain and almost went to my knees. And then God said, I have to turn that down. Right. Oh my God. Right. But they don't curse me. It's easier to control a lot of that too. Again, they're willing things out of. So I think the next focus should be is what does it take for Hamas to disband? And the question is, what do we allow in afterlife for a Hamas person? Are they salvageable for the Palestinian Authority, or are they not salvageable? Because again, you might just be a young kid, never hurt anybody. Again, see, because that's what you're seeing in a lot of this. Because it's just you're seeing such a, again, it's not a professional. I brought this up before. It's not a professional organization. Is that really not? So you get some nice people, you get some evil people, right? And again, we consider them all evil to a certain degree if you're Jewish, and yeah. But so some of those people, they're real nice to the hostages because they're just a Palestinian kid from nowhere, right? Right. And they never really fought anything. They weren't raping people. They weren't murdering people. They have a big gun because they're part of it. I mean, these are country bumpkins. Again, what does it take to get them out of that? Education, a system that's a system of respect, mutual respect. So again, I think it's incumbent to create that Pan Americans or Pan Arab Israeli Union, and I think there should be a core curriculum. Again, a Department of Education, no, an honest core curriculum of certain social and psychological processes to help the children process things enough to get them forward of ever being duped into becoming a terrorist. They have a lot. They have to fight a lot over there. I mean, even fight the emotion of this, fight the emotion of this. Somebody recruiting them, an impressive guy in a uniform, whatever it is. Right. So I think if we say, hey, we have a problem in each one of our nations, it's not just this. Oh, it's the Israelis. Oh, it's the Saudis. I yelled at the Saudis before, right? Because they encourage terrorism at a certain point, and then they developed a very nice system where they tried to reform terrorists. Right. My gosh. So again, I think what we're missing is that union, that unity. Thank you, sir. So if every nation state in the Pan Arab Israeli Union says we all have a problem, then I think we'll get somewhere. And we design a curriculum for our children that helps them navigate those problems in a more peaceful, more successful manner. I don't know how long it's going to take to change the social strata to something that works, but that's what we need to do. And again, this isn't socialism. I mean, back through history, this has been used. And it's really it's empowerment tools. And I brought this up for the United States also. So we teach the children empowerment tools to empower them to live a peaceful, well life under, sometimes trying circumstances. Right. They're not so sophisticated, a lot of these Palestinians. And again, who is Hashem with when it comes to something like that? The non-sophisticated people. Right. It doesn't matter. Hashem is with the people that are the down people, the non-sophisticated. If you read about my personality as an angel, it's just the weirdest thing that this is my life. But I help the underdog. But again, when I see that, but that's Hashem. Hashem with me. I give all glory and all credit to Hashem. I couldn't do anything without Hashem. Satan tried to fear me when I said that. Well, I'm Elon Musk's best friend. I'll tell you that. I just told him something he needs to know. And the security people are probably thankful. Right. It's getting to the point where, again, I brought it up about Trump. You can't make yourself a target. Now, the nation states are going to move their spy systems after you, and the CIA has already weighed in my mind. At least it's probably a couple people, maybe not that many. They said even if we want to protect and we're ordered to protect Elon Musk, we don't have the capability to protect him. We have too much because there's so much other work. They just let me know. I didn't receive from them for a while. They're overworked. They're swamped. Right. They don't have enough people. So again, Ratcliffe has to look at hiring new people. And again, we don't want Project Artichoke. You need to get rid of the Project Artichoke because that's what we're fighting. Right. Psychological manipulation of the masses. And don't what they'll tell you is, oh, yeah, Trump, we can use this to make them all church members and conservatives. Nah, don't buy into it. Because the people effectuating it are playing the game, and they want the power to play that game. So again, like I said, at a certain point, I began to realize I was starting to move operations that were way past my lifetime. Again, that's why it was the urgency. I was like, what's more freaking out about the Palestine and Israel? Because I just wanted to get it done. You know what I mean? I guess Mr. Abbas, same thing. He's a little bit older than me. And if you think about what was Mr. Abbas and I actually doing, we're trying to avert October 7th and the repercussions afterwards. I mean, we couldn't have told you that was going to happen. I mean, there's possibilities, and so when you don't seek peace, you're actually seeking war. You realize that? At least, again, I bring up the double-edged sword of how Trump won, because the world changes. So based upon world changes, that system still exists. And now it's going to come against Trump. And it's how Biden won. Okay, the idea where Biden didn't win sells. You make money off that on the internet. With your what do they call that when you promote it or whatever that is. But Biden won off the same mechanism that Trump won. Trump actually proved that Biden won because he was able to manipulate so many people against Biden. Right. And Bill Clinton saw it because he said, what do these people want? You give them what they want and then they vote you out. Well, they want a better life. And if they don't get the life they want, they'll put you out. Again, there's deep state out there in every community running after people, harming them. They may call themselves a Republican council member or whatever, I don't know, committee member or whatever. So you have to understand, you can't trust everybody. And you probably can't trust anybody. Because they're out there running their own mini criminal organization under your name. Thank you, Larry. Right, you just put it on a board. You can do it on a computer, but for Trump, I'd put it on a wall somewhere. Make sure nobody sees. Like you want it hidden. Right? You want to print it out on a wall. I guess you could put it on a television screen on a wall. Right. And then can you touch to it? Yeah, do like a touch thing where you touch the issue and then it comes up or something like that. Well, because like I'm walking around my apartment and I'm thinking, what would be best? I'm thinking, well, if you had like a big screen on the wall and it's a touch screen and you touch the issue and then you go into sub issues, right? But something pretty clear. Well, I told him this the first time. I even told him don't fight anything. Don't get frustrated up there. Don't fight anything. Let us fight it out here. You just focus on government. Well, because you're going to offend somebody no matter what. Biden scored by not saying a lot. But then he lost it because, nothing fixed. Again, a lot of it was from COVID. Correct. But you're stuck with it now. Well, if the bankruptcies happen at a certain rate, it won't destroy everything. But it's better if they can get loans. Now, the loan, my life crashed and my debt increased. So again, when I tell you the wrong people have power, because that's not supposed to happen. Because I bought in to a consolidation loan, I'm supposed to succeed on the other side of it. Now, I have to see where it ends up. But after that happened, I received 2 credit cards with a $200 bonus. So once they attacked me, and I know this is physical also, but once they attacked me, something paid me $400 real quick. But it's gonna be a little while until I get the money. I gotta spend 1,000 on each card, which isn't impossible. I just use the card for all my debt, for all my expenses. Right. Now, one thing that did screw me was they used to have like a 3% service charge for paying with a credit card for my rent, and it was these cards are 1.5%, automatic 1.5%, no up or down. Everything's 1.5%. The other one's a 2%. So what I would sometimes do is I would take that credit card and pay my rent and get I'd spend I'd lose like $10 or something, but I'd get the $200 real quick. Now it's a $40 fee. Now the question is, did they change that? I mean, definitely metaphysics, but did somebody get in there and change that just to screw my system? Because they saw that I did that. I mean, that's how bad they are. So now, it doesn't make sense because I have to spend like $25 or $30 just to get the 200. I guess I could still calculate it and see if it's worthwhile. I'm still waiting on one card. It has to come here, and I have to call them for my address. So again, the system is struggling to pay people, and that's a metaphysic. So like they physically manipulate the system to not pay me while it's trying to pay me, and claim that the system's not paying me because I shouldn't have anything. Right. Now, the system tried over and over again to pay me. I mean, I go to these places and everybody wants to give me something, and then they come in and they don't want to give me anything. They're either afraid or they get paid off, or both. And these are like CIA people, FBI people that are manipulating it. Former, prior, current, retired. It's corruption. Don't try to act like that's your official system. It's corruption. It's criminal enterprise. It supports sex trafficking and narcotics distribution. It's all scam. Because they're only going to arrest certain people. And again, they'll say, well, Trump, isn't that good for you? You won't get arrested. And then they showed how Trump played a game in the first administration. That's where he got in trouble. Right. So I'm trying to keep you clean again. Stay clean. You already kind of messed up the pardons. Right. I understand what you said, but you had to go a little further. And you had to just say, we all need to get forward of what happened there. That's a time in our history that, spy versus spy, kind of, it was something that shouldn't have happened. Right. And that's it. Now, I think Chansley's going to buy guns because he's, happy to buy a gun, just being an American citizen with the right to buy a gun. But if something were to happen with those guns, because again, remember, there's spies that are going to try to manipulate him to do something wrong, just so they can put it back on Trump. So he's now got guns, and they're going to try to make him do something with his guns. And they can tie it directly to Trump's pardon. Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you. Thank you, Larry. Bless you, Larry. So again, get my life forward. I mean, Palestinians owe me money. Everybody owes me money. I mean, everybody knows how the system works. I think Lutnick owes me money. I'm singing in my mind. I don't know if I helped them anywhere. No, he may not know it's me. Right. My gosh. Again, out of respect for Howard Lutnick, I mean, I can't believe it. Howard Lutnick and Elon are buddies, and he shoots come on, he shot a Sig Heil, and I respect Fuentes sometimes. I really do. He's an honest guy. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but he said that's the most, pretty much that's the most passionate Sig Heil I've ever seen. And that's the problem. So I believed because they were pressuring me. Back when Elon went to those places, and I knew he was responding to the pressure. But again, he said a couple things that I could agree with, so I said, not all lost. They were pressuring him. He felt pressured by Jews or whoever. Again, this is the part that Elon doesn't understand. And again, I make mistakes too. I mean, spy stuff, and it could be Putin that was pressuring him to try to manipulate him. You see, that's how they do it. It doesn't have to be the rich Jews. They want you to believe it's the rich Jews, or it could be CIA even. See? So you think it's the rich Jews pressuring you, so you go and you kiss the ring of the Jews for a little while, and then you take over, and then you want to be a Nazi. And maybe you were a Nazi the whole time. I mean, again, apartheid and Nazism are hand in hand. That's where the theories came from the Nazis. But again, when they do that, you'll hear me say it's this person, you'll hear me say it's that person, just to see if I can get a reaction. But I don't do it as much anymore because I don't get the reactions are now manipulated, so I can't see as much as I used to be able to. You never know who it is. Like the CIA, again, false flag, right? Like I bring about Israel in 1954. They're not the only one that does it. Everybody does it. So Elon may have been manipulated to hate the rich Jews. Again, I believe Kanye was also, and it could be anybody doing it. Believing that you're being like me, Elon's here. I'm stuttering. You believe that you're being oppressed by rich Jews, but you're actually being maybe oppressed by the Russians or Ukrainians or CIA. Right? And so they can manipulate you into being something. Maybe even committing political suicide, which kind of for some people, they just wrote you off. Right? And it empowers anybody that's going to come against you now. Like people in Europe may say, I don't like the immigration issue, but I don't want Elon Musk and his people, these Nazis, taking over Europe. And then we go back to why does that exist? Why does all of that exist? I mean, it could be Vladimir Putin causing all that immigration. Russians do a lot of stuff. But again, like I said, even if he did all that, it's nice that if we get to a point where he says it, maybe he'll act it out. And he'll seek peace. So this is the problem with the CIA, because they'll say you can't trust Putin, so then none of it's true. It doesn't mean it's not true. Maybe this is the time, if it's beneficial to Vladimir Putin, he'll seek peace. Again, he's a trillionaire, We talk about everybody else being a trillionaire. I laugh about that one. I told you Vladimir Putin was a trillionaire probably 5-10 years ago. They're like, yeah, these people are trillionaires. He's even more than a trillionaire, believe me. He owns the entire state of Russia. He owns the entire. Think about that. Vladimir Putin owns the entire state of Russia. Yes, he does. That's more than a trillionaire. Right. I don't know. I guess the money's been decreasing lately. So I always laugh when they talk about somebody soon to be a trillionaire. And they don't even have the power, you know what I mean? So again, it's not even close. They can't buy what Vladimir Putin can do without money. You can't buy what Vladimir Putin can do without money. So again, these are realities that I wanted people to realize so we can get, cut your nose off to spite your face. I mean, back in 2012 was a different world. Right. 100%. I mean, you didn't do anything right, and then you want to fight him again? I mean, get out of here. I mean, people are nuts. If you're planning to fight, Putin in 2020 or 2021, then you definitely didn't. You should have did something different for 8 years besides killing me. Right. In fact, Vladimir Putin gets you not to do anything because you take money and you play those deep state games. Rich. Then they're going to take our billions of dollars and throw it out there, while me, a disabled veteran, can't get $300 extra a month. And a disabled veteran working at a $1 million corporate output a year. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, you go to these big corporate contractors for the government. The work I do in a year is about commensurate. Right. Thank you, Larry. I mean, CIA itself should have paid me. Because there's no way for me to get out of the trap you put me in without paying me. There's spy masters in here that talk to me all the time. I said, the only thing they need to do is pay you. You would have got out of it. And then, they're saying that you have to get out of it before they pay you. Well, they know all they do is destroy the people that are doing it. It wouldn't have happened. So again, it's the same thing. They made merchandise of me. It's in the scriptures. They take a person and they make them somebody to make money off of by harming. I've been places where they cast lots for my clothes, but it was something a little more subdued. But when I was in Tyler, Texas, what happens is when you leave, when somebody leaves abruptly from these hotels, these extended stays, they divvy up the belongings, like Jesus' belongings. They're assassinating people in those places. So everything I bought was being eyed by the same thing as my coworkers. They're saying, "We'll get this guy and they'll pay us money." And they did. They all got rich off it. They got promotions. They got rich off of doing that to me. That's your government, man. The rest is bullshit. So I don't know where Elon is, but he better be careful. There's nation states coming for him. Right? And then somebody said we could protect Elon, but if we had to, we would something else would fail. So again, let's look at the mechanics of this. I don't know what's going on with what's this guy's name? The United Nations guy. What's his name? Bolton loses. Trump takes his protection detail. If he earned that detail, I don't know if he did or not. I can't tell you that at this point. I haven't looked into it. Right. But if he earned it and you took it, then something's going to happen to you. Chances are he earned it. You see. So now what happened? Elon's unprotected. Something in secret. I actually saw something, right? I told Secret Service that they have to look at Trump a little bit more. Look around for somebody that's doing the red dot site or laser site type of thing. Red dot site's more logical. It looked more like red dot to me, right? But most people don't use laser sites; they use red dot. Which is like maybe a form of laser. I don't. Right. I'm not really into. I haven't been in weapons in years. I used to be a gun geek, kind of. I'd study them. So again, this may be what's happening. You're unprotecting yourselves because you unprotected Bolton. So the system's now unprotected. Well, it definitely changed in relation to Elon. Elon definitely is now a target of nation states. And they articulated it. They were being fair. But again, as far as his protection detail goes, now it's out of their league. So you see, one fell swoop. Oh, my power! I'm down to 5% power. Give me a second here, but in one fell swoop, you actually caused yourself to now be outclassed protection wise. I'm just telling you. And there's ways of getting you. Believe me, they don't have to touch you. So again, the dirty world gets dirtier. I'll be back in a second. Stay peaceful. Praise God and all.